Shalom. We'll get started here in just a few moments.
This is what you have to do. You have to believe in Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. Barakatah Yahushai. Barakatah Yahweh. Barakatah Yahweh. Barakatah Yahushai. We believe, beginning with Elder Apostle Tal down, we believe that eventually the Lord is going to give his men, you got to be his men, eventually he's going to give us that power, that spiritual power. And like it says here in Psalms 110, then thy people shall be willing, even these scoffers and scorners. Oh yeah, they'll be willing to show that respect then. And for a lot of them, it'll be too late.
Acts 2 verse 43. And fear came upon every soul, and many wonders and signs were done by the apostles. Now I'm saying this in closing. What if you find out and you start seeing and witnessing that GMS, starting from the apostles on down, start performing miracles? That's going to make all of the other camps out there stop what they're doing and keep their eyes on us. Remember, the Most High is going to make us famous. Right now, we're infamous, but the Most High, in short time, is going to make us famous.
Behold, at that time I will undo all that afflicts thee, and I will save her that halteth, and gather her that was driven out. And I will give them praise and fame in every land where they have been put to shame.
Zephaniah 3 verse 19, behold, at that time I will undo all that afflict thee. We're being afflicted right now. And I will save her that halteth, and gather her that was driven out. The her represents Israel. And I will get them praise and fame in every land.
All right. Shalom. First and foremost, we would like to give all praises, honor, and glory unto our power. Yahweh, Bashem Yahushua, Bashem HaKodash. That's all praises to Heavenly Father. His true name in the Hebrew is Yahweh. In his son's name, who the word in the God Jesus Christ, real name in the Hebrew is Yahushua. Also give it praises, honor, and glory to the Yahweh HaKodash, the Holy Spirit, which is the force and entity that makes its edification possible. I want to say shalom to all you sincere hearted Aki and Wakwat, that's your brothers, and few sincere sisters make your bodies a living sacrifice on a daily basis in this wicked and adulterous generation. I also want to give double honors to our beloved apostles and elders of Great Millstone, who taught us his truth and who rule well. And I'm the brother Osmawath. I visited this morning by the beloved brother Arak. Are you on up?
Con, I'm on here.
Con, and Lord's will. All right, this lesson is edifying. All right, unto the elect of the nation of Israel, and glorifying unto the names of our power, Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. But we want to get into some exciting news. All right, the topic at hand, as you can read the title of the lesson, it says Crypto Week was a success. The Mot.B infrastructure is locked and ready to go. Buckle up. All right, Crypto Week was a success, and today is the last day, all right, of Crypto Week. All right, as that term was phrased by all right, your boy Donald Trump. All right, the cruel Lord. All right, as prophesied of in Isaiah the 19th chapter in the 4th verse. All right, but nonetheless, this week has been pretty much like a roller coaster ride. For me and other brothers has been keeping up with Crypto Week. At the beginning of the week, were more so Tuesday and Wednesday, things looked a little shaky. Specifically Tuesday evening when they were wrapping up the House of Representatives, they were wrapping up their votes, for these three crypto bills, mainly the Genius Act. And Tuesday it didn't look too good. Most of them voted, and voted a nay, voted in dissatisfaction of it. They had a lot of I guess you could say they weren't in favor of it. But nonetheless, all right, like scripture say, let's get this in Proverbs 21. The Lord works upon the minds of these rulers. Proverbs 21:1, the king's heart is in the hand of the Lord, as the rivers of water, he turneth it whatsoever he will. Right. And Donald Trump, so-called had a talk, all right, with those Republicans, which the House of Representatives is mainly comprised of Republicans. You see, and everything is ultimately set up to push forth, all right, the agenda of prophecy. But nonetheless, Donald Trump so-called had a talk with those Republicans Tuesday evening, after they after pretty much most of the House had voted in disfavor of the Genius Act. And Wednesday they had further debates, further conversation about it, and they voted Wednesday evening for a procedure. It was a procedural vote to where they'll continue to have further discussion about it on Thursday, which was yesterday. And lo and behold, just as starting with Elder Pastor Har, all right, prophesied and said that it's gonna come to pass. All right, they're gonna pass off on it, and it's gonna be slid up on Trump's desk. And this morning, well, actually this afternoon, all right, Trump is going to sign. He's going to sign into law the Genius Act, man. And so call Allah y'all Bashmal Shah for that. So prophecy, this is paving the way for prophecy, man. Okay, like the title of the lesson says, the infrastructure, the Mot.B infrastructure is locked and ready to go. All right. And so we're gonna get into that in this lesson, Lord's will this morning, and you Akim Akwath will be edified. A lot of things are happening. Everybody's distracted, with this whole Epstein deal, and all this frivolous, vain shit that doesn't matter at the end of the day. All right. Esau is making a lot of, heavy moves, big moves, underneath everyone's nose while you're distracted. But you got anything out, any scriptures points or whatever?
Con, I mean, I got some real quick.
Okay.
I got a quick one. This is 2 Corinthians chapter 11 and verse 14. And I just want to make the point, as we're probably going to go into it, this legislation that's just been passed, it's a giant deception. You know what I'm saying? It's a giant deception, and we know that. All right, but it's beautiful to see it play out. And like I said, as I'm sure we're going to go into, it's really it's a snare. All this is a snare that's ultimately going to lead to the MOTB. But with all the economic issues that Esau has created here in the States, people are going to eat it up. You know what I'm saying? But this is 2 Corinthians 11 and 14. It says, "And no marvel, for Satan himself is transformed into an angel of light." All right. And, we know, Satan works through his physical counterpart, Esau, and the will of Satan is about to get executed by Esau, and Babylon the Great is at the forefront of it. I just want to bring that out real quick.
God, absolutely. And scriptures in the same book, 2 Corinthians, the second chapter, tells us what? 2 Corinthians 2 and 11, it says, lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices. All right, the elect, the hopeful elect, is not ignorant of Satan's devices. All right, and as you stated, for pursuant to 2 Thessalonians, the second chapter, Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, is the physical counterpart of the spiritual demon Satan, and he's been using the same old tactics from generation to generation, starting all the way at the garden. All right, and he plays upon the flesh. All right, he uses deceit, trickery. All right, this is why he's known as the serpent. All right, he uses witchcraft, enchantments. All right, magical arts. All right, that crafty, deceitful tongue. All right, and sees prophecy being prophecy oriented and prophecy driven. All right, this is what gives us an advantage. Okay, this is what ultimately strips Esau, Edom, and the spiritual demon Satan power over us, man. All right, that Satan doesn't have leverage over the Most High's people. Okay, why? Because prophecy tells us what's going to happen at the end of the day. You see, but everyone else, they're going to be caught up, in Esau's crafty devices. Okay, as scripture say, all right, for what's that, Ecclesiastes 9? Let's get that real quick. Ecclesiastes chapter 9, In verse 12, it says, "For man also knoweth not his time." People don't know what time it is. All right. Here you got people arguing. They think that the most important thing to argue about right now is the whole ep to the steam. Okay. List. Okay. Which, is that shit wicked? Absolutely. But in the grand scheme of things, okay, that it doesn't mean anything, man. All right. Because the powers that be, all right, they're literally forming a dystopian reality before everyone's eyes. Okay, massive job losses, okay, are still underway. This is the third month in a row, okay, to where job losses hit an all-time high. You know, the big beautiful bill was just passed. What was that? July 4th, okay, on so-called Independence Day, which is about to strip you of all rights. Okay, it's going to make you even poorer. Okay, see, but people that don't understand and know what time it is. Why? Because they're ignorant of Satan's device, because the Lord blinded their hearts. It says, "For man also knoweth not his time, as the fishes that are taken in the evil net, and as the birds." And see, and what's that evil net? This system. All right, this system, man, that's being set up, and it has a lot of red tape, okay, bureaucratic, components to it. And before you know it, you're interwoven, and you're sucked into the system. All right, and there's no way out. The only way out, okay, is through Yahweh Bashmal Shah, if you're Israelite, man. See, and the elect. All right, they're singing a new song, and they believe that new song, and that new song is what gives us, all right, the victory over this net, over this man's system. All right, his name, his mark, his image, his number says, "As the fishes that are taken in an evil net, and as the birds that are caught in the snare, so are the sons of men snared in the evil time, when it falleth suddenly upon them." You see, and Esau, through his laws and legislation, okay, he's setting up the framework to pretty much ensnare you in that Mot.B. All right, and it's going to fall upon these people, all right, suddenly. They're not going to know where it came, but the whole time the devil's been making big moves. Okay, while you're at work, working double out, working doubles, working late hour shifts. You see, trying to just scratch two pennies together to make ends meet. Okay, this devil, all right, he's forming all different types of ways. Okay, through his paperwork. See, Esau, he's taking care of all the paperwork right now before he rolls up his sleeves and get physical. All right, but before you know it, man, you're gonna be ensnared.
Mm-hmm.
So you got anything, bro?
Yep. And if I may, like like as scripture says, the fishes are taken in the net. The thing about a snare is snares are hidden. Snares are usually set up in a particular way to prevent that animal from realizing that it's a snare. And that goes into like we went into camp, I want to say a couple weeks ago, when you go into that word crypto, when you go into the etymon of the word crypto, it goes into something being secret or hidden, but that's what the American people all over the world, 2/3 Jake, they're getting ready to figure out that there was a hidden agenda behind this crypto, this push in crypto. And that hidden agenda is basically the enslavement of the globe. You know what I'm saying? But you got it.
Gone. That's it. So yeah, we want to go ahead and play this video real quick. It's actually 29 minutes long. Of course, we're not gonna play the whole thing. Probably just like the first, I don't know, 2, 3, 4 minutes of it. But you could just hear the excitement in these devils' voices, man, because they know what's up. All right, they know exactly what's up. As a matter of fact, before we play that, let me get one more. Ecclesiastes 8. Shalom to you, Akim Al tuning in. Hey, how Bashim Al Shabbat Thumb, Wab Barakar to Wab. Let me get this. It's actually Ecclesiastes 5. All right. And we're going to keep bringing out the same scriptures. We're going to keep speaking about the same thing. All right. Because prophecy is speaking. All right. In the end, it shall speak. What else are we supposed to talk about? Okay. Ecclesiastes 5 and 8 in the NLT. Don't be surprised if you see a poor person being oppressed by the powerful. And that's what this system is predicated upon. Okay. Taken from the poor and given to the rich. All right. The poor being eaten up, the poor being devoured. And these particular bills and laws and acts and amendments is all set up to basically, hey, what did Cotton Swabby say? You will own nothing to be happy. All right. So it says, don't be surprised if you see a poor person being oppressed by the powerful, and if justice is being miscarried throughout the land. For every official is under orders from higher up, and matters of justice get lost in red tape and bureaucracy. And that's exactly what all these, the Genius Act, Big Beautiful Bill, the Clarity Act, the Anti-CBDC Surveillance Act, is all red tape and bureaucracy. You see, as these particular officials, starting with the president on down, and they're receiving their orders from higher up, ultimately the elite. And the elite, they're receiving their orders, they're marching orders from Yahweh by Shemal Rashad, man. See, so this is the Lord's program. All right. Esau, he's not running a damn thing. And this is why you win when you stick to the testimony. You win when you're prophecy driven and prophecy oriented, man. All right. So my thing is, how come these other camps ain't talking about it? All right.
Mm-hmm.
But let's go ahead and play this real quick.
Mike and Steve will show.
Oh yeah, this is off the platform on YouTube, Right Side Broadcasting Network. It says House GOP speak on latest crypto legislation after passing Clarity, Genius, and Anti-CBDC Act. See, and we told you these things were going to be passed, and it's going to be signed into law, all right, by the president, man. And lo and behold, here we have it. Friday morning, it's supposed to be signed into law by President Trump. All right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, like, if I can make a quick point, because when it says Anti-CBDC Act, it's funny because anytime Esau names a bill anything anti, you can go ahead and assume that it's going to do the very opposite. Right. So they're passing an anti-CBDC a CBDC Act, but what's going to come out of this is something like a CBDC, whatever you want to call it. But that just goes to show you Esau's word magic, man. It's a double speak.
Khan, that's it, brother. Because really, that they're posing it to that anti-CBDC Act to basically give you the illusion as if you're not going to be controlled by this cryptocurrency, as the anti-CBDC is not controlled by centralized authority. They say it's decentralized cryptocurrency, but at the end of the day, like you just said, whenever this nigga say anything is anti, just know, that he's going to do the opposite of it, man. All they need is the perfect, national crisis. You see, and as a matter of fact, when you look at this real quick, let me type this in. I was looking at the other day. What is the IEEPA? Yep, International Emergency Economic Powers Act is a United States federal law enacted on October 28, 1977. It authorizes the president to regulate international commerce after declaring a national emergency in response to any unusual and extraordinary threat to the United States that originates from outside the country. The IEEPA empowers the president to respond to crises by altering the United States economic policy. See? So it'll be a light thing for this thing to be turned from an anti-CBDC as now. We got to have complete control over the regulation, the regulation of this crypto, man. Oh,
while we're doing this,
we do not own the rights to this video. We're just using it for educational purposes only. We're not making any money off of it.
But let's get going. For far too long, America's digital assets industry has been stifled by ambiguous rules, confusing enforcement, and the Biden administration's anti-crypto crusade. But President Trump and this Congress are correcting course and unleashing America's digital asset potential with historic, transformative legislation. President Trump promised to make America the crypto capital of the world, and today we delivered. The Genius Act, the Clarity Act, and our anti-CBDC Surveillance State Act deliver on the America First digital assets agenda by solidifying the dollar's dominance as the world's reserve currency, spurring innovation by creating regulatory certainty with clear market structure, and ensuring that any development of digital money reflects our American values of privacy, individual sovereignty, and free market competitiveness. Together, these three pieces of legislation set the stage for growth, innovation, and prosperity right here in the United States of America. I'd like to thank Chairman Hill, Chairman Thompson, and Chairman Stile, and my friend Dusty Johnson from, what's that state, South Dakota?
Yeah.
The Lesser Dakota? For their steadfast leadership, and I am very grateful for that, on digital assets in this great House of Representatives. And I'd especially like to thank the 45th and 47th President of the United States of America, Donald J. Trump. We would not be celebrating these wins today without his vision of America on top in the global digital economy. And with that, I'm going to turn it.
Man. You got anything, bro?
La, you got it, bro. You got it.
I'm gonna grab this. Grab this, man. How about boy? He's running the show. All right, and he's got the right pawns in place. Okay, for prophecy's sake. This is Sirach chapter 10 and verse 4 in the GNT. It says, "The Lord sees to the government of the world and brings the right person to power at the right time." See, and you look at Trump's cabinet, bro. Come on, man. And Trump himself said he wants to make America the crypto capital of the world, which is happening right now before our eyes. Okay, you had your boy Musk up in there, with his whole AI, and you got who's that? RFK Jr. Everybody, he wants everyone to have wearable, trackable wearables within the next 4 years, which we know it's not going to be wearable. It's going to be inside of you. And I got some information on that too, on one of these ChatGPT articles. We're going to read here in a second. But bro, it's the perfect pawns are in place. Okay, the House of Representatives, they're mostly all Republican. You see, a lot of people didn't understand. A lot of people didn't see that. These moves, particularly like in the crypto world, was going to be made, from Republicans. They were expecting it to be made from, the left. You see, and this threw everybody off. That's why Trump's approval ratings hit at all-time low. A lot of his, former supporters, man, they're exactly that, former supporters. They're not supporting him anymore, because a lot of these Edomites, man, they know what this is paving the road for. A technocracy, just total control, man. And also they plan on phasing out. Well, not phasing out. They plan on eliminating paper checks by September 30th of this year. Let me look this up. Paper checks, and remember they stopped minting the penny. All right, this year. Yep. So they're telling you what they're about to do. This is a cashless society, man. All right, it's going to be turned to a one world currency, which has everything to do with Revelation 13 and 16, man. If you can't see it, hey, that's on you, man.
Mm-hmm.
Gotta say something,
you
bro?
Mind if I snag this off the comment board real quick? GMS ties the doc bond Yahweh to 144K, the water for the precept. This is Daniel 8 and 25. It says, "And through his policy also he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand." And that's what we see taking place. That's what we see taking place. The policy is being rolled out, which is going to speed things up. Like the brother said, going into the the red tape. We already know that this was an agenda that Esau wanted to fulfill. But sometimes his own legalities, cause him to, have to move a little bit slower than he would want to. Right. Even though gradualism is a real thing too, you know what I'm saying, at the same time. But I just want to grab that precept.
That's it, bro. I just typed in paper checks to be eliminated September 30th. It says the federal government will stop issuing paper checks for most payments, including tax refunds, starting September 30th, 2025. This change is part of a broader initiative to modernize payment systems and reduce fraud. You see, and they use fraud and cyber attacks and all these particular things as boogie monsters that way they can be justified in pushing forward their agenda. That's why Scripture says, as we read earlier, we're not ignorant of Satan's devices. We know how this devil gets down. So it says the IRS will discontinue issuing paper checks for tax refunds, and all federal payments will be processed electronically unless exceptions apply. So yeah, that's the point on that. So yep, and like the brother G-Mess like said, Trump was lining up his cabinet for a minute. Exactly, man. Exactly. So we're gonna play your video, but real quick, I want to grab this. Top of the chat, it says, yes, on July 17, 2025, which was yesterday, the U.S. House of Representatives passed the Genius Act. All right, and starting with our apostles, we told you that was going to happen before it came to pass. Okay, why? Because we understand prophecy, Isaiah 42:9. And even if they didn't pass it, just hypothetically speaking, even if they didn't pass it, Esau already has laws and legislations in the books that already justifies him on taking complete control over the economic infrastructure, like we just pulled up, the IEEPA Act. You see, to where that gives the sitting president sweeping authority and power to take over, the economic exchange, nationally, man. So Isaiah 42:8, it's like if 42:9, behold, the former things are coming to pass, and new things do I declare. Before they spring forth, I tell you of them. All right. So it says on July 17th, 2025, the U.S. House of Representatives passed the Genius Act, also known as the Guiding and Establishing National Innovation for U.S. Stablecoins Act. The vote was 308 in favor, 122 opposed. See, and when you look at the numbers, okay, in comparison to Tuesday, it was damn near mostly everybody opposed it, and just a few voted in favor. You see, so that goes to show there's also that damn witchcraft, man. They got to make it look like they're not for it, but they know what the deal is. They know who they're working for at the end of the day. It says, and ultimately is Yahweh Shemal Shah's program. Proverbs 21:1. He's sealing everybody's instructions. He's sealing all those officials' instructions, the House of Representatives. He's sealing all the instructions when they go to sleep. And they woke up Thursday morning in the spirit of passing this shit, man. All right. It says the vote was 308 in favor, 122 opposed, approving a bipartisan regulatory framework for U.S. dollar pegged stablecoins. And that framework, okay, is that Mot.B infrastructure in Revelation, the 13th chapter. All right, as Yahweh Shai himself also gives us a parable about that rich man, okay, that had the barn, and he increased so much in his fruits. So he says, I'm going to tear down my barn. I'm going to build a new barn. I'm going to build back better. Sound familiar? So that way I can bestow more fruits. That's framework right here. This is a controlled demolition. This is why the money that we're using right now, forget about it, man. The next upcoming weeks and months, all right, the way we pay for things and buy and sell is about to be drastically different. And that's going to put us as believers, okay, further in that straight gate, all right, because it's going to come with a price. If you want to have any type of, economic participancy, all right, in this man's system, well, you're gonna have to bend the knee eventually, man. Now we may have a point to where we can use, using these stable coins, using this crypto in and of itself is not a sin. But once they tie it to that RFID hip, okay, and they give you an ultimatum, you get this inside of you, all right, that's when the elect says hell no. All right, hell no. Yep. Isaiah the chapter. You see, more likely it'll be a point where hey, we use this, until All right, until it gets to the point to where they try to make us transgress against our power, man. All right. You
Yep.
about to say something, Mark?
Yeah, I had a quick one, cause just backing up
Yeah.
that point, cause that's a beautiful point. Cause like the scriptures say, we have a more sure word of prophecy. But the scriptures also say we know in part, we prophesy in part as well. And there may be a point in time, like the brother saying, where, and I can see this happening, speaking as a man, where Esau might let this, flourish for a little bit, just to plant the seed in the people's minds. Um, that this is a potential solution, to America's financial woes. You know what I'm saying? But really, it's really just going to speed up the downfall. Because we know the more they bring AI to the forefront. All right, the more they bring crypto to the forefront. All right, it's going to accelerate basically job loss. It's going to accelerate all these issues. Okay, but again, it doesn't matter because Esau's been given that word, that the word play. He's been given that mouth. He can speak. He can make it sound good. But this is Ephesians chapter 5 and verse 15. It says, see then that ye walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise. All right. So we see what's going on. Okay. And we're going to use the information that we've gotten through the Spirit and probably how Bashem Shah to move with wisdom. All right. That doesn't mean just backing what the brother said. You know what I'm saying? Brothers are going to do what they got to do. As long as, we don't have to cross certain lines, man. And that's what comes with this truth, a standard, you know.
God. That's it. So we'll read a little bit more in this article here. It says the bill now heads to President Trump for his signature. All right. And it's supposed to be slid on his desk this afternoon. And he's gonna sign off on it, man. When me and the brother found out yesterday, man, we were stoked, excited, still excited, bro. I was at work when I found out about it. I'm tired as hell. When I looked at my phone, and my algorithm on my YouTube had led me to this video where it said, the House signed off on the Genius Act. I was like, yo, got excited as hell, man. Now we don't get it twisted. We know it's going to put us eventually, in that straight gate, even more. At the end of the day, man, hey, we know what's on the other side, bro. Okay, this is not the end where much glory abides, and this is what we underneath our apostles we've been prophesying about, man. You see, so we look forward to these things coming to pass. It says here are the key points. The House vote came after a lengthy standoff with conservative Republicans, but support solidified when the anti-CBD measure was attached to the NDAA. All right, it says this follows the Senate's approval, and anytime, bro, you can interject. It says this follows the Senate's approval on June 17th by a vote of 68-30. The act establishes clear rules for stablecoin users, requiring full reserves, public disclosures, licensing, and oversight, mainly under the CFTC. It says it's the first major crypto-specific federal law. See? All right, it says yes, the Clarity Act passed because there's 3 bills that's been in consideration, and all 3 passed. So it says yes, the clear, and you could go back in your leisure time and look up more details about each law or each act, but it says yes, the Clarity Act passed the U.S. House today with a vote of 294 over 134, and is now moving on to the Senate for consideration. It says it establishes a market structure framework for digital assets, clarifying the jurisdictions of the SEC versus the CFTC based on how tokens are used. It says this was one of the 3 crypto bills passed during this week-long crypto week, alongside the Genius Act and the Anti-CBDC Surveillance State Act. All right, so it gives you a summary. All 3 passed, and eventually all 3 will be signed. The Genius Act is the biggest of all, 3 of them, and that's the main one. and that's the one that passed first and foremost, and that's the one that's going to be signed today by Trump. And I had typed in, give me Clarity Act and details. I'm not going to read it. You can do the same. Let's see. Okay, now check this out. So I typed this in. Can RFID CHIPs be used under Genius Act framework? It says the Genius Act is currently under discussion in Congress. Okay. All right. We know it's going to be signed today. It says while the final version is not yet law as of July 18th, 2025. Okay. Anyway, it says, here we go. The Genius Act is designed to modernize government services using advanced digital technology. This includes digital identity systems, artificial intelligence in public systems, blockchain for secure records, biometric and behavioral authentication, streamlined access to social services. Now, check this out. It says, could RFID CHIPs be used under it? It says, technically, yes, if approved as part of digital identity infrastructure. Okay, CHIPs are a form of data storage and tracking that could be tied into digital ID systems, especially if those IDs are useful for access to healthcare, financial services, or benefits. And look what Trump did. Let's see if I can find it. It's in my history here. Hopefully I can find it. If you got something to say, bro, you go and say while I look for this.
I was gonna say too, when you look into the big beautiful bill, let me see real quick. When you look into the big beautiful bill as well, and they go into the spending of the various spending for ICE and the expansion of ICE and things of that nature, deportation facilities and all that. I gotta find the receipt, and if I find it, I'm gonna put it in the chat after the video's over. But there was a very significant amount of funding that went towards that, towards biometrics being used in that as well, linking it all up, because they're also gonna, push the CHIP as a way to identify, internal, what they call it, they call it domestic teas. They're going to push the CHIP as a way to basically identify, who is who, who who's the enemy of the state, all right, and who's not. So we see funding happening. We see government, pathways being laid, all right, in real time. Like it's not, and like the brother's saying, it's not. We're not telling you something that's gonna happen. We're telling you what they're doing right now. Okay, and that's all prophecy. Okay, the devil coming down with great wrath. You know what I'm saying? That's what this is.
God. Yeah, I can't find it, but it's all good. It was I went into it in a previous lesson, but June 30th of this year, June 30th, 2025, Trump had signed. It was called the National Registry, National Digital Identity Registry for citizens, something along those lines. But he passed that at June 30th, and you didn't hear anything about it. So what they're doing, they're dragging everybody into this new system. Let me grab this in the book of Habakkuk, the first chapter. Like we got earlier in Ecclesiastes, the 9th chapter. Man is taken, in the evil net, as fishes are taken in that evil net when it falls suddenly upon them. All right, and this net has everything to do with this system that's being set up, all right, before our eyes, like you said, in real time. But this is the book of Habakkuk, chapter 1, and verse. Now this is speaking of the Chaldeans. All right, back in Habakkuk's time, the Babylonians. But we could link this unto Esau, Edom now. Okay, as he's known as the daughter of the Chaldeans. All right, in prophecy. So this is Habakkuk 1 and 11. And the Chaldeans, they had control. Those are the bankers. All right, those left-handed priests. That was the left-handed priesthood, and they had control of the money. All right, the monetary system, right, the bankers, the elites. You see. So this Habakkuk 1 and 11, it says, then shall his mind change. And who's changing his mind? Yahweh Shemal Shah. Okay, that old ancient Edomite hatred is being stirred back up. All right, that damn devil, okay, that disguised himself as being diplomatic all these years and okay, giving everybody equal rights. Listen, he's about to remove all doubt from your mind. Okay, he is the devil, man. He's going to show you. The Lord is changing. He's putting him in that ancient spirit. Genesis 27 chapter. For the days of mourning of my father are at hand. Then will I slay my brother Jacob. So Esau, hey man, he's in a whole totally different mindset now. Okay, he ain't playing with these people no more. All right. So it says, then shall his mind change, and he shall pass over and offend. Meaning he's going to transgress. It says, imputing this his power unto his God. And who's Esau's God? It's not Yahweh Shemal Shah. Okay, it's a spiritual demon Satan. That's why on the back of your dollar, what does it say? Annuit coeptus, which means what? He or God has favored our undertakings. See? All right, he's imputing his power to his God, man. All right, that's what this whole into the W to the O is. Okay, that's the crowning of Satan's kingdom, man. All right, which Esau, all right, he's paving the way for that, man. That's why scriptures say, let's get that. 1 John 5, I think it's 19. Yep, 1 John 5 and 19 NLT. We know that we are the sons or children of the Most High, and that the world around us is under the control of the evil one. That's it, man. See? So Satan is setting up his kingdom upon the earth using, okay, his left hand man or his right hand man. Okay, Esau Edom. You see? It says, then shall his mind change, and he shall pass over and offend, imputing this his power unto his God. Art thou not from everlasting, O Yahweh Shemal Shah, my power, my holy one? We shall not die, O Lord. Thou hast ordained them for judgment. That's right. The Lord sets up these other nations over his people for judgment. Okay. And the Lord's going to use his damn devil, okay, upon the wicked 2/3 of our people, all right, to commence that judgment, that sore slaughter upon them. Ezekiel 21. It says, O Lord, thou hast ordained them for judgment, and almighty power, thou hast established them for correction. I'm gonna skip down here, verse 14, and makest men. Let's see. No, I'm gonna start at verse 13. It says, thou art of purer eyes than to behold evil, and canst not look on iniquity. Wherefore lookest thou upon them that deal treacherously? And who's dealing treacherously? Esau. All right. It says, and holdest thy tongue when the wicked devoureth the man that is more righteous than he. So Habakkuk was like, are you going to just sit back and not do anything, Lord? Okay, as the hold on, so like, give me 1 second, man. They're just gonna have to wait.
I could read that again. Let me read that again.
Okay, yeah, you got it, bro.
Yep, this is Habakkuk 1 and 13. It says, thou art of purer eyes than to behold evil, and canst not look on iniquity. Wherefore lookest thou upon them that dealest treacherously? Okay, and that's what this thing is, man. All right, this plan by Esau, the NWO. All right, it's a treacherous ass plan. All right, and really, he's doing too much. All right, and it's getting to the point now to where the other nations and even the European Union, right? Even other Edomites, lower level Edomites, are starting to come to the realization that he's not going to stop. All right, these people at the tip top, right? These technocratic elite, the banking families, priests, right? Whoever. All right, Habakkuk 2. Matter of fact, the next chapter goes into that. All right, when Habakkuk 2, when he goes into, he's gonna basically he's not gonna stop. He's insatiable. All right, gathering to himself, all nations and all people. That's what this is. He is going towards. It's a move on everybody. All right, you good over there, Rob?
Yep.
Con.
All right. So verse 14, it says, and make his men as the fishes of the sea. What do we read earlier in Ecclesiastes 9 and 12? You know, as an evil net falling suddenly upon, you know, those fish, so are the sons of men snared in the evil time. You see? And Esau, he's the one that's doing the snaring in the form of his laws and legislations and ultimately the system. All right, that's being set up. It says, and make his men as the fishes of the sea, as the creeping things that have no ruler over them. They take up all of them with the angle. Now let's grab that word angle real quick. All right, Strong's H 2443. What was that? Chaka. It says hook. All right, angle, hook fastened in jaw. All right, fish hook. You see? Now you just can't catch a fish just with a hook alone. You got to put bait on it, man. All right, you gotta disguise that hook. Okay, you gotta put what that fish likes. Okay, on top of that hook. You see? And you people fell for the bait. Hook, line, and sinker, man. All right. You thought this was he's gonna make America great again. You know, you're gonna do this, you're gonna do that, give you more benefits. You see, but it's gonna come with a price. See, and that price is your life, your soul. Okay, that's why it says in Revelation 18, in Babylon was found the souls of men. See, and he's using that angle, he's using that hook, okay, and baiting you in. You see, it says they take up all of them with the angle, the hook. They catch them in their net, the system. You see, and gather them in their drag. Therefore, they rejoice and are glad. Esau, bro, this nigga's ecstatic. That's why when we was watching that video, okay, bro, they look happy as hell because they know that you people fell for the bait.
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
You about to say something?
Yeah. Did you have another? Did by chance the video, the Vance speech I sent you?
Yep. I got that queued up next.
Okay, Con. No rush though.
Yep.
But it goes
Okay,
into the whole idea, the healing Babylon. You know what I'm saying?
Con. That's it. I'm gonna read verse 16, and then you got it. Verse 16. Therefore, they sacrifice unto their net. See, and burn incense unto their drag, because by them their portion is fat. See, Esau's trying to solidify and get a fresh new grip upon his portion, the fatness of the earth and the dew of heaven. He don't want to let this go, man. You know, who in the right mind does? Would you want to let that go? Hell, we didn't want to let go of our throne when we were exiled out of Babylon. That's why you had Zedekiah, you know, rebelling. You know, when Jeremiah told him not to, he didn't want to let it go. So any man, when you're in the power seat, you don't want to let that go. You know, you want to try to double down and, fight. You see, and that's what Esau is doing. All right. But it says, therefore, they sacrifice to their net and burn incense to their drag, because by them their portion is fat and their meat plenteous. And scripture speaks about, all right, how that meat is going to be turned into gall in Job, the 20th chapter. The elites they're eating right now. Okay. And that big, beautiful bill paves the way, okay, for them to get even more, okay, meat. All right. Get even more wealthier, man, as they take everything from the poor, man. And if you want to have just a little crumb, okay, you're gonna be forced to go through them. Okay, that's what this whole CBD system is all about, man. Complete control and tracking over what you purchase, what you buy, what you sell. All right, and that's Revelation 13 and 16. But you want me to go ahead and get that video, bro?
Con, yeah. If you don't have anything, you know what I'm saying. Or
yeah, that's it right now. Yep.
If you could just skip to 6 minutes, and from 6 minutes to about 7:30.
All right.
Yep.
But for each of these new forward-looking applications, I also feel like there's an incredibly conservative element to crypto technology, and that's as a hedge. Crypto is a hedge against bad policymaking from Washington, no matter what party is in control. It's a hedge against skyrocketing inflation, which has eroded the real savings rate of Americans over the last 4 years. And as you all know well, it's a hedge against a private sector that's increasingly willing to discriminate against consumers on the basis of their basic beliefs, including their politics.
If you could pause it right there, because again, this thing is going to be pitched as a savior, and like he's saying, a hedge is basically a defense. You know what I'm saying? And it's the spirit, because we always talk about how even when you're on YouTube, when you're on some of these right wing platforms, even we could tell some of them are set up. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of these platforms that you have set up, it's all a part of basically the mind game. They're gonna raise up people over here, to act like they're going against the establishment. They're going against CBDCs. But what we're getting ready to see real soon is a lot of people gonna switch up. A lot of people, once economic hardships really come, all right, and they see that the crypto might be actually able to solve a couple things, they're gonna switch their tune up. All right, but who's not gonna switch their tune up is the prophets, the men of the Lord. All right, we're going to continue to let you know that this is a illusion. This is a snare, man, as the brother was breaking down. But there was a little bit more on that little chunk right there, but you got it.
God, I'm gonna read this quick scripture for you as you said that. Revelation 13:8, and all, emphasizing that word, all that dwell upon the earth shall worship him, whose names are not written in the book of life of the Lamb slain from the foundation of the world. So yeah, like you said, okay, these particular people and podcasters, whoever that may so-called appear to be against this agenda, at the end of the day, you're going to worship, you're going to bow down if your name is not written in the Lamb's book of life, if you're not part of the elect.
Yep.
That includes, of course, debanking users for Second Amendment advocacy or for ties to the first Trump administration. In Canada, the government did the same to kill those big truck driver protests in 2022. Less than a week later, they succeeded. The protests were over. But maybe most importantly, I see crypto as a hedge against one of the most dangerous trends in the digital era in both the public and private sector. And that's of elites who, rather than innovate themselves, prefer to simply take over and co-opt cutting-edge technologies to assert their control over other people.
So that's it right there. That's the point. You know what I mean? That's the point. All out of nowhere, out of the blue, all of a sudden there's this novel solution, all right, to all the problems of the world, right? And he's saying the elites as if he's not one of them, man.
Right.
But these people are full of shit, man. But that was pretty much it on that chunk right there.
God. Did you have another minute, Mark?
Yes, at 14:30, and I'll get a preset while you're pulling it up. Let me check, make sure I said 14:30 or 13 minutes and 40 seconds. Slack 13 minutes and 40 seconds.
All right.
And I'll read this real quick. This is Jeremiah chapter 51 and verse 9. And he'll kind of go into this in this next clip, because they're also going to push, stable coins and things of that nature, as a way to maintain dollar dominance. All right. Or in other words, for people on this side of the world, dollar dominance means your way of life stays the same, right? Your ability to go through the drive-through and go do this and go do that, that'll stay the same. That's what they're saying, right? Now we know that there's gonna, that's not gonna happen. All right. But this is Jeremiah 51 and 9. It says, "We would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Okay, forsake her and let us go every one into his own country, for her judgment reacheth unto the heaven and is lifted up even to the skies. And that's the thing. All right. We also got major plagues coming to Babylon the Great, and crypto digital assets ain't gonna be able to stop. I hate pestilence, man. Ain't gonna be able to stop. Spirits created for vengeance, famine. Okay, love of many waxing cold. All right. So either way you cut it or slice it, major historic judgment is coming for this place, and you're gonna need the covering of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh shot for that. But you got it, bro.
God, and as you had pointed out, earlier before we went live, you had pointed out the banner that he's standing in front of. It says Exodus.
Mm-hmm.
And those same plays that hit ancient Egypt, they coming back in a magnified way on steroids in these times, man. And Esau, he's thinking he's about to make it to the promised land. He think he's about to come into their birthright. Set up. Because they still hell bent on that greater Middle East project, the greater Israel project. This devil, he's juggling a lot of things right now. All right, but at the end of the day, let me grab this real quick in the book of Job, the 5th chapter. That's why we got to continue to watch, man. It's a lot of things to go into. Did a lesson yesterday, man. All right, stay locked into the spirit, and Elder Yatazak, well, you were there at camp this past Tuesday. Elder Yatazak, after we closed up camp, he was exhorting his brothers. He was like, hey, man, it should be easy to stay in the spirit now. You got all this stuff going on, there shouldn't be a dull moment, as it pertains to this ministry, bro. Like, it's a lot of things to look at, and we should be in awe at what Yahweh Bashem Yahweh is doing, man. And our faith should be at an all-time high right now. Like we see these things, like we literally see Revelation 13 speaking loud and clear, But this is Job 5 and verse 12. It says, he disappointed the devices of the crafty, so that their hands cannot perform their enterprise. You see, and Esau, he's got a lot of things that he's trying to juggle, and it's going to look like he's winning, for a little bit. It's going to look like damn, bro, this nigga, he really doing this shit, but we got to understand and know that the Lord, he's not going to allow the wicked, all right, to go unpunished. All right, Esau's going to get what's coming for him, but he's got to do all these things for prophecy's sake, man. All right, ultimately to set up that it all centered around that Mot.B. Like we just went into that article. We'll go back to that video real quick. I want to finish this real quick because on this article here, as ChatGPT was telling us here, where'd it go? RFID use in the Genius Act. Okay, let me just read the summary. It says, technically, yes, if approved as part of digital identity infrastructure, RFID CHIPs are a form of data storage and tracking that could be tied into digital systems, especially if those IDs are used for access to healthcare, financial services, or benefits. The act doesn't explicitly authorize CHIPs, but it sets up a framework for it, or where it says biometric plus digital ID systems could include physical or embedded CHIP embedded tokens. Government could contract with private tech firms that use RFID based tools, and they're already in league, okay, with these private tech firms. You see, such as Elon, all right, with his brain computing interface. Says innovation pilots could experiment with RFID based credentials, like, check this out, like wearables. What did RFK Jr. just talk about a few weeks ago? He says within the next 4 years, okay, he wants every American to have these trackable and these trackable wearables, man. We're reading it, we're reading it, man. So it says they could experiment with RFID based credentials like wearables, cards, or implants, and it's going to be implanted. You ain't going to wear it, it's going to be inside of you, man. All right. Boy, oh boy. What? Once again, bro, why are these other camps not talking about it? It should be crystal clear who has the testimony. It should be crystal clear who's singing a new song.
Yep.
It says
This is major
what to
stuff.
watch.
Major stuff.
What you say, bro?
So like I said, it's major stuff. Like
Con.
like Revelation 13:16. Even though we bring it out, all the time, it doesn't take away from the magnitude of it. But you got it.
Man. And now, okay, at a time like this, now you got Alizé Pegasus, all right, talking about he's not affiliated with the Hebrew Israelite community anymore. Okay, bye, nigga. We don't care. Okay, the show must go on. All right. Hey, listen, this is
All
what
right.
we concerned about, bro. We don't give two
Yep.
flying F's about a nigga, man, who's incredulous, okay, incredulous
Yep.
against our power. See? It says what to watch for. Says if the Genius Act is finalized, which it is, all right, with vague, or it says if the Genius Act is finalized with vague and broad language, which it is very vague and broad. Okay, red tape and bureaucracy, man. All right, it says any technology necessary for secure identity verification, interoperable public-private authentication systems, embedded or contactless identification devices, then the RFID could be implemented without further congressional approval. You hear that? See? And you best believe inside of the Genius Act is filled with vague and very vague and broad language, such as those particular phrases we just read. Okay, embedded or contactless identification. Who's going to read, okay, over 1,000-page document like that, man? Not your average everyday American. You see? And they're just telling you that the Genius Act is passed, but they're not really giving you like the full scoop of all the finer nuances of what it really entails. But we already know this is in there. All right. It says then the RFID could be implemented without further congressional approval, especially in emergencies or in national programs. See,
Yep.
it says bottom line. Yep, you got it.
If I can make a point on that, because we talked about that at camp a little bit too a couple weeks ago, the whole public-private thing, like with Trump bringing in Elon, right, with the military, enlisting Palantir officials. They're starting to be more brazen about the fact that private companies and private, corporations are working hand in hand with the governments of the world. And that's fascism. That's fascism. Like when you go into like I talked about, fascism was called by Mussolini. He called it corporatism. It's basically a corporate takeover. With the power of the government. That's going to enslave you niggas, man. That's what's coming, man. But I just want to make that point.
Absolutely. So it says, bottom line, while the Genius Act does not mandate CHIPs, it creates a legal and technical environment where they could be adopted, especially if tied to digital IDs, health or benefit tracking, contactless verification systems. If you're concerned, okay, let's see. It says, all right, so yeah, that's the point on that. So yeah, we'll go back to that video you got, and you want to start at 1340 and end it where?
It'll go for like 90 seconds.
Okay.
Like 69 seconds. Yeah.
And once the Genius Act is enacted, it's poised to vastly expand the use of stable coins as a digital payment system for millions of our fellow Americans. It'll also protect coin holders and inject further transparency into the market. And let me be emphatic on one other point. In this administration, we do not think that stable coins threaten the integrity of the United States dollar. Quite the opposite. In fact, we view them as a force multiplier of our economic might. Dollar-pegged stablecoins, particularly once Genius.
Yep, and that was that statement right there was the reason I want to play the clip. A force multiplier of America's economic might. So that gives you the glimpse right there about how they've been getting ready to sell this. This is going to be another tool used to push, that MAGA spirit, and we'll see how it plays out, man. We'll see how it plays out. You don't got to play the rest. That was the main
Okay.
point I wanted to grab on that, because it goes into some of the things you talked about as well.
Con. I'm gonna read one more quick article. I'm going to swiftly, breeze through it. If I can find it. Let's see. Digital immersion.
You mind if I read this off Common Board real quick?
Absolutely.
This is Psalms chapter 55. Psalms 55 in verse 21. It says, "The words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war is in his heart. His words were softer than oil, yet they were drawn swords." And that's really what this is too. It's an act of war. It's economic warfare upon the entire globe, which is also why World War III is getting ready to pop off.
Con.
You know what I'm saying? Because they're economically trying to checkmate every nation on the planet Earth with this NWO.
Bro, that's the spirit. That's literally what I got pulled up right here.
Okay.
That's spirit. Hey man, the spirit's moving, bro. Were you done?
Yep. Yeah, that was it.
So yeah, I just typed in the chat. All nations are racing to establish digital economy. It says you're absolutely right. Nations across the globe are in a rapid race to establish digital economies, and the trend is accelerating in 2025 due to several converging factors. Why are nations racing toward digital economies? It says, and this reminds me of Psalms 2. Why do the nations rage? And this is part of them raging. Number one, it says global competition and control. Countries see digital currencies and finance systems as tools of sovereignty and influence. That's what it's all about. Sovereignty, influence, and also control. It says whoever leads sets international standards, especially in cross-border payments, AI, blockchain, and data infrastructure. And at any time, you can intercede. Like I said, I'm just reading through it, but you could make your spiritual points.
Yep, and Vance, that speech we just played, that was at a Bitcoin conference about a month or so ago, a few months ago. Bitcoin. What is a sitting president doing at a damn Bitcoin conference, man? Bitcoin is a private company, and what's crazy is when you go into the founding of Bitcoin in the crypto space, they tell you we don't even know who started Bitcoin. Bitcoin is just some mysterious project, okay, that came up out of nowhere, right?
Well, we know who started Bitcoin.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Number two, collapse or transformation of traditional systems. And this is a controlled collapse, controlled demolition, and also transformation of traditional systems. That's why you go into any of your average stores, grocery stores or whatever, the infrastructure of digital contactless payments, is there, from mom and pop store all the way to Home Depot, Kroger, or wherever, Tom Thumb. Oh, out here in Arlington, this chick I know, she said her friend, well, not her friend, but somebody she saw in Whole Foods out there in Arlington had the C-hip in their hand and literally waved their hand over that interface at the checkout line, bro.
Mm-hmm.
So it's here. It's here, and people are already, taking it, but especially and more so whenever you're going to be hunger driven to take it. It says many nations are phasing out cash. See, like we showed earlier. Okay, by September the 30th this year, September 30th, 2025, they plan on doing away with paper checks. All right, it says many nations are phasing out cash, especially after inflation spikes, banking crises, or under the table economies. And this is why, these banking, a lot of bank branches have been closing this year. They've been having glitches in the system. I remember Wells Fargo had a big glitch, last year. A lot of people's accounts were not just what was it, Citibank, and I believe Chase as well. You know,
Mhm.
people's accounts were either at zero or at negative. You know, they're using all this for guys to usher in the new system. It says the move is tied to central bank digital currencies, even though they just passed the anti CBDC. They're letting you know that listen, no, we're going to make it centralized. You know,
Yep.
because all these other nations are making it centralized. Says the
Yep.
move is tied to central bank digital currencies, CBDCs, like China's ECNY, already in public use. The EU's digital euro pilot programs underway. Says the US digital dollar frameworks being debated under initiatives like the White House 2025 Digital Finance Plan and Genius Act. It says geopolitical strategy, digital economies offer instant sanctions, programmable money, and data control. They allow nations to bypass SWIFT, limit capital flight, and track spending. All right, and that's really
Mhm.
what they're concerned about is tracking. You know what you spend, how you spend it, where, why. You know everything, and it's going to be tied to a social credit system, man. You know, and you already know
Yep.
the credit system for the profits is at an F. Okay, we ain't gonna be able to get shit, man. You know, so
Yep.
that's why at the end of the day, like we quoted earlier, Isaiah 10:20, the remnant shall no longer stay upon him that smote him, but stay upon the Holy One of Israel in truth. And the Lord is going to make a way. He's gonna feed his servants. He's going to give them drink. He's going to give them, their necessities, man. You about to say something?
Mhm. No, I'm brainstorming. You got it.
Kind. All right. Let's
Yeah.
see. Number 4, COVID. Oh shit, I ain't gonna say it. Damn. CVID era acceleration and war readiness. It says the 2020s proved that digital tools ensure continuity even during lock dizzies or wars, and that's why that whole
Mhm.
2020 scare was you know pushed out there. That was man made, bro. Okay, they want to see something. you know, they just want to test this shit out, and they're like, okay, yeah, this shit works. You know, so they're gonna
Yep.
use it, and they're even sharper on it now. You know, with their AI, Palantir, all these man, bro.
Yep.
Listen, we need divine intervention, bro, to get the hell up out of this system here. It says nations are ensuring their economic systems are resilient and surveillance ready. See, surveillance ready. All right. Watching your every move, man. It says the AI and automation integration. So, how can any of you other camps say, uh, you know, GMS, we're a sci fi camp? Like, bro, we're literally reading, okay, and watching and listening to these particular videos and reading these articles. Like, the devil straight up telling you what he's about to do, and no, what he is doing, what's happening right now today. All right, today the Genius Act is going to be signed. Like, come on, bro,
Yep.
it's not like they just been telling you through these particular sci-fi movies and shit, like what they're going to do, and it's here now. you
Mhm.
know
I got some real quick, bro.
Yep, you got it.
For
What you
niggas
got?
saying that, right? For niggas saying that, Ciroc 36 and 6. All right, because yeah, if you watch sci-fi movies, you know what I mean. You can a carnal thought will be, yeah, man, this is far out, and yeah, this could never happen. All right, but things are getting ready to get weird. Things are getting ready to get heightened, like during the time of Egypt, for example. We go into the fact that Moses was doing those miracles, but on the left hand side they were also doing those miracles, but it was basically who could keep it going. But this is a Sirach 36 and 6. It says, show new signs and make other strange wonders, glorify thy hand and thy right arm, that they may set forth thy wondrous works. you know and people who can't see um that things are escalating, all right, on a spiritual level, on a technological level. If you can't see that, then we don't know what to tell you. And things are going to get crazier than this. Things are going, like when the scriptures go into the standard being lifted, right? That's spiritual power, man. That's miraculous spiritual power that Yahweh Shem Yahushua is getting ready to unveil. All right. But on the left hand side, we see also Esau tapping into Esau's emptying out his tool bag too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's why I make that point.
Man, bro. Gotta be excited. Gotta be excited, bro. Hey, the Lord is making a statement. If you paying attention, if you watching, this is Ezekiel 12 in the NLT, Ezekiel 12 and 21 NLT. Again, a message came to me from the Lord. Son of man, you've heard that proverb they quote in Israel. Time passes and prophecies come to nothing. It's June. Ain't no microchip. All right. That's a proverb in Israel, bro. Like every if you Israelite, bro, you know, whenever you hear that, you know who the fuck said it. You know. But the Lord, we see he's taking that proverb away. Verse 23, tell the people, this is what the sovereign Lord says. I will put an end to this proverb and you will soon stop quoting it. Now give them this new proverb to replace the old one. The time has come for every prophecy to be fulfilled. See, it wasn't time when John the Revelator received the vision of the sea hip, 2,000 years ago. It wasn't time. We still had to fall away first, be scattered to the four corners of the earth. Prophets be risen up in Babylon to preach. Dry bones, stand up on his feet. But all this had to happen. So now we're in the time for every prophecy to be fulfilled, and every prophecy is being fulfilled, and it's all happening simultaneously. Because simultaneously, as we see this culminating and coming to fruition, this Mot.B infrastructure, bro, wars in the Middle East is still going on, So, and it's heightening. So the Lord, he's got a lot in the mixing bowl. He's just mixing it all up. All right, he's got the oven on preheat. He about to pop that bad boy in there. Things about to get hot. The day of the Lord is like an oven. Verse 24, there will be no more false visions and flattering predictions in Israel. For I'm the Lord Yahweh Shem Yahushua. If I say it, it will happen. There will be no more delays, you rebels of Israel. I will fulfill my threat of destruction in your own lifetime. I, the sovereign Lord Yahweh Shem Yahushua, have spoken it. So, yep. So, yeah, that was pretty much the point. I mean, it was some more on that article. But you got anything, bro?
That was all I had for the most part.
God. All right. Yeah. Well, if you ain't got nothing else, you want to take us on out?
Con. Hey, well, Lord's willing, this lesson was edifying. The water to the brothers in the comment section with the precepts. As you can see, the Lord is he's hearing our prayers, man. He's hearing our prayers, and he's making a lot of moves, man. He's making a lot of moves. So we just got to continue pushing, doing what we're doing, being faithful servants. But Lord's willing, this lesson was edifying. We'll give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushua, Bahashem, Akakwadash, and double honors again to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone that rule well and teach well. Shalom.
Shalom.